What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this YouTube video. Today we're going to discuss Devie, one of the newest rooms released in TryHackMe. The room is pretty cool. We will discuss more than one subject in the area of offensive penetration testing or offensive security. So if we read the description here, a developer has asked you to do a vulnerability check on their system. And we're required to bring 3 flags. I left the last flag, guys, so we solve it together. Click on deploy the machine to be able to access it. The first thing that we will do, guys, I'm gonna skip the nmap scan because it has become typical and repetitive. So we have 2 ports, 22 for SSH and 5000 port, which hosts the web server. As you can see, if you open the page, we have a couple math formulas. Now, if you scroll down, we will be able to download the source code from here. So this is pretty much a very big hint, because in a real penetration test you will not be able to view the source code unless it's a white box penetration testing. This simulates a white box penetration test. So if you go ahead and download the source code from here and navigate to the folder itself, let's extract this. And if we go to math, okay, so pretty much the file that handles, or the file that handles everything is the app.py. If you open the app.py here with Sublime, maybe. Okay, so in order to find the vulnerabilities the author has asked us to find here, we will need to sift through the lines of code here. Now, long story short, if you scroll down to the line where it handles the input from the user. Okay, so as you can see here, if you go back to the page, so in the page we have quadratic formula and one for prime numbers and one for the bisection method. The vulnerable input actually lies in this department, or in this section here, the bisection method. Why? If you go back to the file and if we inspect the function that's responsible for the bisection formula, as you can see, it's using the evaluation or the evaluate function. And as we explained previously, eval is a function that takes the user input and executes without any sanitization or filters. So much like in PHP when we explained maybe in Hack the Box machine, I cannot remember, but I will give you guys the video in the description. You can go back and see the same implementation, or the vulnerable implementation of eval in PHP. It actually applies here in Python as well. So if we have eval here, we can actually inject system commands. So let me tell you what I mean. So if you go to my file here, the OWASP web app pen testing, if you search for eval here, okay, so static eval. Now under PHP here, I put all the not everything, of course, but some of the recent methods used to exploit PHP here. We have the static evaluate, and as you can see here, we have a couple payloads we can try, but since we are talking about Python here, we need to skip to Python. So in Python, it's the same method actually. If you scroll down, the evaluation function. So we have certain payloads to try here. It's based on the premise that eval doesn't filter the input, it executes immediately. So it's a bad implementation of eval we see here in this code. So to exploit that, we were going to use, let's close that, go back to the browser, XA or XP. So we're gonna input the payload here in XA or in XP. To do that, we will need perp suite up and running. So we go back to perp suite, intercept is on the browser, and here we select perp as the proxy, and we circle back with the input here, submit any input, submit. Let's go back and to perp suite here, we're gonna use XA or XP as the payload. So basically we're gonna go back, copy the payload here. Now the first one returns reverse shell using bash. Other one returns meterpreter shell, of course, but you will need to generate the meterpreter shell, which in this case happens to be reverse shell with MSF venom don't forget to put -f elf as the format if you want to use this method. Now we're going to use this method first. So this method here uses this payload, which uses the OS module from Python to spawn a bash reverse shell. So I'm going to copy that, go back to here and replace one with the payload. Okay, so what do we need to do here? We need to URL encode the necessary characters, such as the spaces. So we can highlight all of the characters you need to URL encode and press Ctrl U. It's going to automatically convert this to URL encoded formula. Of course, this is only in Perp Suite. If you're doing it in Perp Suite, highlight the space here, URL encode, and then highlight the space here. We have URL encode, got another space, and we need the ampersand to be URL encoded, got another space here, and the IP address. All right, let's go back and extract my IP address here. So since I'm using the attacker machine in TryHackMe, this is the IP address, lies in the ENS5 interface. Okay, going back to Perp Suite. Your IP, so here we replace this with my actual IP. Port is actually whatever you would like to assign, 4555. Again, we have another space to URL encode, and we have the ampersand to URL encode as well, and the final payload is ready to be executed on the system. So let's go back and make sure the listener is up and running. nc.lvp 4555. I'm gonna send this, oops, in perp, send. Let's see if we catch the shell. Okay, now the next step, we need to do some stabilization on the shell. So we're going to my notes here. Okay, let's copy the first line, paste it here, and then the other line, export the term. Now Control Z, and then we're going to copy this back, and we have the shell stable. Okay, so we are Bruce. Let's see what's the current working directory. Bruce ls-la, and here we got, okay, ls, that's overwhelming, the first flag, and then you have checklist and the note. Let's cat the note. Okay, so hello Bruce, I have encoded my password using the super secure XOR format. Okay, I made the key quite lengthy and spiced it up with some base64 at the end to make it even more secure. So the original password, first it got XOR'd and then it got base64'd. I will share the decoding script for it soon. However, you can use my script located in the opt directory. For now, look at this super secret string. So that's the password, but for which user? Let's see, the owner of this file. Okay, it's owned by root. So this is a password for some user in the system. Oh, it's for Gordon, as you can see here. So the note is written by Gordon, and this encoded password is the password that belongs to the Gordon user. So if we're able to decode this, we're going to be able to sue or change from Bruce to Gordon, which happens to have higher privileges on the system. So to be able to do that, we have to simulate an encryption of any sample password. To do that, we are given the hint to use the script located at the opt directory. So cd opt, it's encrypt.py. Now ls-la, as you can see, encrypt.py is owned by root as the user, and only Gordon can read the script, can read the Python script. So what we're going to do here, we need to sudo to be able to execute the script. So sudo -l. As you can see, the user Bruce can execute this Python script, okay, as Gordon without the need to supply any password. So sudo, okay, -u Gordon. Now we put in the path of the script, the path to the script, to be able to execute it. Okay, now enter a password to encrypt. Remember from the note that the password needs to be long. So let's enter some sample password. Remember the idea here, we want to extract the key used in the XOR and base64 process. So we need to simulate the process of creating a password, XOR it, and base64 it. So this is really a long password. And we get this final string. Let's take this one. Now what we need to do here, guys, we need to go in the opposite direction. It means we need to reverse this string. Now we have the initial string, the plain text, and we have, I'm going to call it exceptionally, I'm going to call it the ciphertext. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to deduce the key. Okay, remember that we're given the algorithm used to conclude this password. So our algorithm is first using XOR and then base64. If you want to go in reverse from the ciphertext to the plain text, we need to go also in reverse when it comes to the algorithm. It means base64 then XOR. Here you go. So first we use cyberchef from base64. Okay, this is a decoding algorithm, remember that, and then XOR. So what are we going to apply this to? We're going to apply this to the password or the plain text password. Put it as the key here, and the input needs to be the encrypted password. As you can see, we got an output. This output actually is the key that's used in this algorithm. So this is the key that's used to decrypt, or sorry, encrypt the password of Gordon and other passwords. So if you try this one more time, let's do this one more time. If you try this on additional password, such as this is not a password, blah, okay. This is a completely different password from the first one, right? Okay, so if we take this one, okay, and supply this as the key and use the final encoded password in the input, as you can see, we get the same output, which means that this is the key used to encrypt the password. Okay, this is used in the encryption process, and we know that because we actually applied this in reverse. So the encryption in this algorithm, encrypt.py, goes first in XOR and then applies the base64. Because we are interested in decrypting the decryption process, we went in reverse. So we use base64 and then XOR. Okay. All right. So what to do with this? This is the key. All right. Let's copy the key, put it in here, and now what we need to use? We need to use this string, the encrypted password of Gordon. The same method we applied when we created our own passwords. And this is the final plain text password of Gordon. We're going to use that to change the user from Bruce to Gordon. So Gordon. And now we are Gordon. So cd home Gordon. So we got the second flag. So far so forth, we have got 2 flags. The last one is when we switch or escalate to root. So as you can see, we have 2 directories, backups and reports. If we cd to backups or ls-la backups, as you can see, we have files, report 1, 2, 3, they are owned by root. Okay, if we cd reports as well, we get the same files, report 1, 2, 3. So what's going on here? It seems like this is some sort of there is a process in the background that is copying files from reports over to backups. Okay, now how to know that this is happening? You can find out from the difference in timing. So as you can see, the reports is earlier than the backups, so the reports being copied over to backups. So the contents of the reports directory is being copied over to backups. But how? We need to find out the script responsible for this operation. So it seems like some sort of a cron job running every certain period of time to copy the files from the backups to reports. We need to find this script. Okay, so how to find the script? We can either use pspy64 to list all of the current processes and the ones that are running as cron jobs, or we can make this shorter to find all the files or scripts or binaries, whatever they are, owned by Gordon. So as you can see, Gordon, he is owning the files that are being copied. So Gordon must be owning also the script responsible for backing up these files. Also notice that the files, when they are copied over to backups directory, the permissions are changed from Gordon to root. That's also interesting. So the objective here is, first let's find the script responsible for all of this and see how we can exploit that to our advantage. So find dash, or first in the root file system, dash user Gordon dash type if and then we grep. We want to find actually the files owned by the user Gordon. Why I'm not able to type this? Okay, system. So proc and no proc, then system. Pass must precede expression. Okay. Dash type f dash user Gordon. Okay, so we forgot the row here. Let's find the files owned by Gordon. If you are able to do that, we can locate the script somehow responsible for this. We have got nothing. Okay, so the Gordon might not be the owner of the script, but might be in the group owning the file. So we can use the group encrypt.py. This is the encryption file, and this is user bin backup. Take a look at this one. So this might be the responsible script. So cat user bin backup. So it's a bash script that is first cding to the reports, and then it is copying all the files using the wildcard from the reports into the backups. So how can we exploit this to our advantage to escalate the privileges? The fact that the asterisk is used here, it means that that all the files are being copied, right? Okay, how can we exploit this to our advantage? The first thing we can do here, we want to escalate the privileges, right? So first we need a copy of the bash with a suit bit set to be executed in an escalated mode or a privileged mode. So how we can combine this with the current given information here that we have asterisk. Remember that in the command cp we have a mode called preserve equal mode, dash preserve equal mode. You can research this here, cp dash preserve equal mode. This will preserve the privileges assigned to a file while copying it over from one directory to another. How do I copy a folder keeping owners and permissions intact? So they use dash preserve equal mode to preserve the owner and the permissions. Note that why we need to do this, because the files that are subject of the copying or the backup process, their ownership is changed from Gordon to root. So we don't want this, because we want to be able to execute the script or the bash in the backups directory without any hassle. If we don't use the dash preserve, or we don't use this to our advantage, if you only create a backup file here, the bash file, if you create the bash file under reports, when it is copied over to backups, the permissions will change from Gordon to root and won't be able to execute it, right? So how to use this to our advantage? The first thing we need to do here is to create or copy over the bash with sudo bit set into the reports directory. So cd reports. Okay, so from here, first let's copy cp user bin bash. I'm going to copy this to reports. Okay, so from, yeah, of course there's going to be reports, because then the script will take it from reports to backups, the desired location we want. And then we're going to assign this the sudo bit set. And lastly, we need to, what we're going to do, we're going to use touch. Now touch, we will create a file named after -- preserve. So what's the trick here? The trick is, once we create this file, the cp command, when it is executed, it's going to, as I said again, as I told you guys, it's going to copy all of the files under the reports. Now we created bash will be copied to backups. And if we create a file named after like this, so -- preserve mode ls, as you can see, we created a file under the name preserve mode, because when it is copied using the cp command, it will be treated as an argument, and thus it will preserve the permissions of the bash. That's what we want. So cd back cd reports, as you can see, we have bash copied over here along with the preserve mode. And note the permissions of the bash, they were preserved during the copying process. Why? Because the file we created after the name -- preserve equal mode has been treated as a command line argument, because it's using the wildcard. That's why using wildcard in scripts is not a cd backups. It will not work here. dir ls-la. Okay, so now we execute bash -p id, who am I, root. Okay, the last thing is to cat the root file. So that's it, guys. I know you would like to view the flag. Anyway, that's the flag. So that was it, guys. I hope you like this, and of course I will see you in the next video.